For the longest time, we've basically treated AI like a super smart chatbot. We ask it a question, it gives us an answer. But what if AI could go way beyond just talking and actually start doing things? That's the huge leap we're going to break down today. How to build AI systems that don't just know things, but can actually take action. So let's really think about that question for a second. Imagine an AI that doesn't just give you a flight price, but researches and books your entire vacation for you. Or one that dives into all your company's data and pulls out the key insights on its own. This is the world of AI agents, and honestly, it's a total game changer for how we think about technology.
So what exactly is an AI agent? Well, at its heart, it's an autonomous system. It uses a big AI model, like an LLM, as its brain. But, and this is the key part, instead of just using that brain to chat, it uses it to look at its environment, make a decision, and then take an action to get a specific job done. It's kind of the difference between a research assistant who just finds articles for you and a project manager who actually sees the project through to the end.
Okay, so how do these agents actually work? To get that, we've got to pop the hood. We're going to take a look at the anatomy, the absolute core components that bring an AI agent to life. First thing you need, the brain. Now, this is the part you're probably already familiar with. It's a large language model, or LLM. This is the engine for all the thinking, the reasoning, and for coming up with a plan to actually reach the goal. But here's the thing. A brain without hands is just a thinker, not a doer, right? That's where tools come in. These are the agent's hands. They can be anything from a simple web search to a code interpreter or an API. These tools are what let the agent actually reach out and interact with the digital world to get stuff done. And finally, we have memory. And this part is absolutely critical. Memory is what lets the agent remember what it's already tried, what the results were, and what it's learned. Without a memory, every single step would be like starting from scratch. With it, the agent can actually learn and get smarter over time. So we've got the core parts. A brain, hands, and a memory. But how do they all work together? Well, that's where the magic really happens. We're talking about the agent's mind, the actual process that ties all these pieces together and makes the whole thing autonomous. At the very heart of an agent's mind is this super simple but really powerful process. It's called the reasoning loop. It's just a 3-step cycle that repeats. First, the agent thinks. It looks at the goal and plans its next move. Second, it acts. It uses one of its tools to carry out that plan. And third, it observes. It looks at what happened and updates its memory. And this loop, this think, act, observe cycle, running over and over again, is the engine that drives everything. It's what turns a static AI model that just answers questions into a dynamic system that's actively trying to solve a problem. This is what makes agents so incredibly powerful. Okay, that's all the theory. But what does it actually look like to build one of these things? Let's go from the abstract to the practical and make this feel a little more real. So let's say we want to build a really simple agent that just tells us the weather. It basically boils down to 3 steps. First, you pick your LLM. That's the brain. Then, second, you give it its tools. In this case, you'd give it access to a weather API. Those are its hands. And third, you write the code for that reasoning loop. That becomes its mind, letting it think, act, and observe until it gets you the forecast. See? Not so scary. And this really gets to the most important takeaway here. We are fundamentally shifting away from just prompting an AI. With an agent, you're not just giving it a command, you're giving it a goal. You tell it what you want done, you give it the tools to do it, and then you empower the agent to figure out how on its own. That's a huge change. So when you realize that, you see this opens up a massive new frontier for us. We are really just at the dawn of this new age of autonomous systems, and it's worth just taking a beat to think about where all of this might be going. This quote pretty much nails it. For so long, AI has been all about knowing things, answering questions. The next frontier is all about doing things. It's about letting AI take real, meaningful actions in the world. That right there is the incredible promise of agents. And that leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending idea to chew on. Right now, we are the ones building these agents. But what happens when the agents get smart enough to start building other, even more powerful agents all by themselves? What kind of explosion in progress could that kick off? That's the question that might just define the next decade. Thanks so much for tuning in.